Guys, I'm going to tell you, freedom of religion, it seems like it doesn't exist anymore. More specifically in the so-called first world countries, right? In which, freedom of religion is supposed to be protected constitutionally. Okay, that's supposed to be a protection, right? It doesn't exist. First, we seen the pastor in Canada getting arrested literally in the middle of the highway because he was holding in-person sermons during the pandemic. Now, in the UK, we have a chaplain at a Christian college, Trent College, who got reported to a terrorism program in the UK by his own college, right? By his own college for preaching a sermon about LGBTQ. Like, come on, man. And guys, we all know what the Bible says about the LBGTQ issue. We all know what it says, okay? It's not really compatible, right? And apparently because this guy spoke out about what's actually in the Bible, teaching what's actually in the Bible, his Christian college tried to punish him for it. So let's watch this video in which this guy talks about his situation and what he's been going through and what happened. Take a look.
I never ever thought that giving a sermon would lead to me being dismissed and reported for prevent and safeguarding and treated in such a way. It was just so mind-blowing. I was thinking, I'm never going to work again because I've been accused of being a terrorist. This is the sermon I gave in June 2018. But remember that religious belief is just as protected in law as sexual orientation. And no one has the right to discriminate against you or be abusive towards you. I couldn't comprehend how I'd done anything so wrong that I needed to be suspended. Ruffled a few feathers, maybe, but then as a Christian minister, sometimes that's your job. No one should be discriminated against simply for who he or she is. There was not a word of violence. I wasn't stirring up anything except respect. When ideologies compete, we should not descend into abuse. We should respect the beliefs of others. I meant what I said. Respect people you disagree with. Love your neighbour. And the fact that in this day and age, a sermon should be deemed effectively blasphemous by other people. It would just never have occurred to me before this happened that could be something that would happen in 21st century Britain, which I thought was a liberal, tolerant society.
Guys, how ridiculous is that? That is Dr. Bernard Randall, right? Reverend Bernard Randall, suspended for teaching what's actually in the Bible. Kicked out. Reported to a terrorism program by somebody in his own school. And guys, the reason why is because this so-called Christian college, they hired a group called Educate and Celebrate, whose mission is to completely smash heteronormality, right? And apparently this group was hired by this school to come in and, promote this type of ideology within a so-called Christian school. Okay? That's what they do. They're designed to try to make the school more inclusive. And guys, this just brings up a lot of questions. Okay, I really don't understand, first of all, one, how you call yourself a Christian school and you're okay with this. And here's the thing. It's not even like the dude is like, oh no, we shouldn't have anybody that's a part of the LGBTQ community on campus or anything like that. No, that's not what he's saying. What he was saying is that, hey, listen, we should all be accepting, right? We should not discriminate. That's a part of being Christian. But at the same time, if this lifestyle runs contrary to your faith, you don't necessarily have to accept that the same way that you don't have to accept Brexit or being Muslim. Okay? That's literally what he said. And in what he's saying, he's being very inclusive. But he's not trying to pretend that Christianity is compatible with this lifestyle, because it's just not. And anybody saying anything different is lying about it. And that's what blows my mind about people who want to complain about this type of stuff, right? Especially when it comes to practicing your religion in your own religious institution or college or whatever, right? For example, Don Lemon, not too long ago, he got mad at the Pope because the Pope was like, hey, we don't want to sanction gay marriage. It's just not compatible with the religion. We just can't do it. Now, if you're a same-sex couple and you want to come to the church, right, and you want to attend services, that's fine. That's great. It's just that we can't sanction a marriage. It's specifically against what's in the Bible. Okay? And Don Lemon took issue with that. Again, it blows my mind that people take issue with religious people following what's actually in their book or preaching the things that's actually in their book, especially in their own religious institution. And when that story came out specifically about the Don Lemon situation, guys, I said, listen, I have no problem with a secular government saying, hey, we will recognize same-sex unions. I think they have the right to do that. I think what's going too far is when you try to force a church to accept something that is specifically against the teachings of the book that they follow, especially in their own religious institutions. Why should they have to do that? You're basically mandating that they can't practice their religion the way that it says they should practice it in their book. It's not like you're hurting somebody or causing anybody harm or anything like that. They're just simply saying, we can't recognize same-sex marriage and we don't agree with this lifestyle. That's all they're saying. They're not saying you can't come, right? That's not saying you can't worship with them, okay? They're just saying, listen, we just don't agree with it. But for whatever reason, people want to get upset about that. And to me, I have to question, like, if you are living this lifestyle, again, I have no problems with it. You should not be discriminated against, when it comes to living in, regular society. But when it comes to religious institutions, I got to ask, like, you do understand that if you're going to call yourself a Christian, that the God of the Bible is not okay with this lifestyle. And if you recognize that and you still want to be a part of that institution, why would you want to force that institution to practice things that are against what's actually in the Bible? Why would you want to force that on them for? You should not be wanting to force that on other people, especially in their own religious institutions. Again, it's one thing for a secular government to say, hey, we recognize same-sex unions. That's fine. I agree with that 100%. You should have the right to be in a union and be recognized that way. Fine. That's great. I have no issues with that. But forcing a religious institution to basically go against what's actually in the book, what's explicitly stated, right? It's not even like, it's ambiguous. This stuff is explicitly talked about. That's just wrong. It's just wrong. And shame on this so-called Christian college for having somebody, a part of their staff, report a minister, a reverend, to a domestic terrorism program. That is insane. It's a Christian college. What else is he supposed to be preaching? Is he supposed to preach everything else in the Bible besides what the Bible says about the homosexuality? Is he supposed to just skip over that part of it? Okay, because there's other things in the Bible too that are pretty controversial that everybody don't necessarily agree with. So he's supposed to just skip over all these things so he doesn't hurt people's feelings? Doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. This guy, as a reverend, okay, he's teaching at a Christian college. Not like he's teaching at, some type of, again, secular institution, a non-religious place. He's teaching at a place that's specifically supposed to be Christian. He has a duty as a reverend to actually teach what's in the book that they are supposed to be following. Regardless of whether or not the people listening like it or not, that doesn't matter. You're at a Christian college. And again, for this college to punish this reverend for teaching what's in the book, something that they claim to follow and believe in, it just blows my mind. I don't understand how this is acceptable at all. I don't understand. Now, if you want to have LBGTQ people on campus, that's fine, but they have to accept the fact that, okay, I'm at a Christian school, they don't agree with my lifestyle, they're going to say things I don't like, and they have to be tolerant. They have to be tolerant because they're at a Christian institution. It's not up to the reverend to be tolerant, and he is being very tolerant. He's being very tolerant. Very, very tolerant. Because he's saying, listen, I don't want to discriminate at all. But I mean, this is what the Bible says. But hey, I don't want to discriminate. We're not discriminating. Right? It's a very moderate position. It really is. And it's funny because this only seems to happen to Christians. I never read stories about other religions whom are not necessarily okay with this lifestyle being forced to do the same thing. And when they're openly against it, people just accept it as, well, that's just their religion. That's just their religion. That's just the way they are. You just got to accept it. It is what it is. But for whatever reason, Christians don't get that same treatment. Christians have to accept everything and everybody. All these other religions don't have to do that. It's okay for them to openly be bigots because, well, that's just their religion. That's just what they practice. It is what it is. But Christians, though, y'all got to be accepting of everybody, even in your own religious institutions. So with some good news here, he is suing Trent College for what they did, right? For unfair dismissal and whatnot. And we'll see where that goes. But it really does bring up questions in regards to where we going with freedom of speech, one, and freedom of religion. Because this is crazy. And I don't know how Trent College can call themselves Christian at all with this type of treatment of one of their own clergy members. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.